The 700 Club, the sickening saga of Planned Parenthood continues to take front stage. And the Center for Medical Progress has released 4 undercover videos. They show officials from Planned Parenthood talking about selling the body parts of unborn babies. But surprisingly, a federal judge has said, no, you can't show them anymore. You can't release those videos. What happened?
Well, the American Center for Law and Justice is defending them in court. We're going to talk to Jay Sekulow in just a moment about the case. Those videos led to a move in Congress to take your taxpayer money away from Planned Parenthood. It gets more than $500 million every year. George Thomas has the story.
4 undercover videos.
I think the per item thing works a little better.
Showing Planned Parenthood's doctors haggling over the price of unborn baby parts.
You can see how much we can get out of it.
Have members of Congress pushing to defund the group's activities.
I think most Americans don't want their tax dollars going to this.
Senator Rand Paul and 23 other lawmakers have introduced legislation to stop funding Planned Parenthood. 40% of the agency's money, roughly about $500 million, comes from taxpayers.
You know, manipulating the baby, turning the baby around to get to body parts and then selling the liver, and the doctors cavalierly saying, oh, well, yeah, liver's popular right now for sale. I think when something is so morally repugnant to so many people, why should tax dollars go to this?
Since nearly all Democrats are opposed to the legislation, Republicans will have a hard time getting the 60 votes necessary to keep the bill alive. Still, the issue could come up again during budget talks in October, when some Republicans are threatening a government shutdown if Planned Parenthood isn't defunded.
But what do you do for this?
Meanwhile, the group behind the undercover recordings, Center for Medical Progress, says it has 8 to 10 more videos to release, including a segment that reportedly shows that babies were born alive before their parts were sold. But a federal judge issued a temporary restraining order, preventing the pro-life group from releasing further videos. George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, the American Center for Law and Justice is defending the Center for Medical Progress in court. And Jay Sekulow, the general counsel of that group, is here with us right now. Jay, what's the matter with this judge? How does he block this video? What's his ground?
Well, right now he's got a temporary restraining order in place. That's all it is, and it does not block all of the videos from being released. It only impacts videos that might be related to the National Abortion Federation. Planned Parenthood has not filed that lawsuit yet, and they are not bound by this TRO. In other words, the TRO doesn't protect them in any way. And in fact, we're arguing today, this afternoon in federal court, that the TRO should be extinguished, that it is a classic prior restraint on investigative journalism, journalism that is protected by the First Amendment. And while they're trying to make the videographer as if he was a lawbreaker, the real lawbreaker here are the abortionists that were engaged in the commercial use and sale of fetal body parts. So the reality is they've tried to change the debate. In our briefs that we worked on right through the weekend and even this morning, we are putting it back into the proper context to protect the First Amendment. This is an aggressive attack on the First Amendment, and I will tell you, Pat, we have ACLJ lawyers and a lot of Regent Law graduates working literally around the clock this weekend to push this back.
Do you think the judge is going to buy it? It goes before the judge because you'll get an appeal. Does that go to the District Court of Appeal?
Well, it's not the most hospitable district in the country, the Northern District of California. I'm a member of that court. That is a very left-of-center court. But if they were to protect the First Amendment and understand the context upon which the investigative project was engaged in, it becomes clear that they did not violate any laws, and that a prior restraint on speech, a judicially imposed prior restraint on speech, would not be the appropriate remedy here. So, Pat, I've already laid out a plan. We've known each other a long time. I've laid out a plan that we will take this up to the if we don't get it resolved that's to our liking, we're going to take it up to the Court of Appeals for a stay. If we don't get it there, I'm going to take it to Justice Kennedy. This could move very, very quickly to the Supreme Court.
What's the deal with the law? If Congress is ready to defund Planned Parenthood, they get an incredible $528, I believe, $1 million a year of federal funds. Why would Obama want to risk his legacy by vetoing that?
Because he is the most pro-abortion president in U.S. history. We're going to have that vote this afternoon. And Pat, let me also say there's congressional investigations going on. Senators Grassley, Senators Cruz, Senator Portman are all looking at the allegations that have been brought forward by these videos, and a number of states have done the same thing. Texas probably being the furthest along in their investigative process, but Florida looking at it now and other states. So this idea, I mean, part of the interesting dynamic here is the federal government, through the Senate, has requested some of this video material. And what is this judge going to try to do? Superimpose his will on a co-equal branch of government, which would violate the separation of powers? So all of that's going to be debated again this afternoon in San Francisco. This is only the TRO stage, so I expect we'll have a preliminary injunction hearing and maybe even a trial in the next 10 to 21 days. So there's a lot of work here. We're working full bore on this, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure these videos can be released. The veneer of Planned Parenthood has been peeled back, and the First Amendment needs to be protected.
Jay, it looks like this is going to be a significant issue in the next general election. What do you think?
I do think so. Pat, look, I think this is the most significant pro-life case in the last 20 years. And I've done most of the pro-life cases, not all of them, but I've done most of them. This is the most significant pro-life case in the last 20 years. I don't see how this is ignored in the presidential debates, especially when we have a situation where so much money, taxpayer dollars, goes to Planned Parenthood. That should be unconscionable. That could end today if the Senate gets its way and has enough votes to override a veto. Even if they do not, I clearly think it'll be brought up in the general election, no doubt.
One last question. They say they've got a video of dismembering of a fully intact baby. I mean, the baby was born fully intact, and they cut it apart to sell its members. Is that correct?
I'm not at liberty with attorney-client information to disclose what's coming in the next videos. Let me just say this, Pat. We've seen nothing yet.
Okay.
What's coming is going to be much more dramatic.
Much more dramatic. Shay, I appreciate what you're doing. God bless you. The American Center for Law and Justice, ladies and gentlemen. Pat. It's a tremendous organization fighting for your freedom and for the rights of people just like you across the country. But isn't this horrible? Hillary Clinton comes out and says, but you don't understand, they've done so much good for women's health, so much good. And the president says if a bill comes to defund Planned Parenthood. Now, the Republicans have been very smart in the Senate. They have said, okay, we're not going to in any way take away funding for women's health. That stays in the bill. There'll still be appropriations. The only thing is specifically one organization ain't going to get any more federal money. That's all. It'll go to anybody else, civic centers, community organizations, community health centers, all across America that they can apply and be eligible for federal funding. But so they can't make an argument that says, well, we're against women's health. Cutting up unborn babies is hardly the health of women.